always tell when a streak's going to come to an end. You win a couple of games, you probably shouldn't.
There are teams out there that could use that quality of playoff goaltending. All right, Ray, you ready to do this?
Yep, let's go.
Powered by Rev Media in partnership with TSN, it is season 7 of the Ray and Dregs Hockey Podcast. It is a playoff edition presented by our title sponsor, Tim Hortons. The Tim's NHL Hockey Challenge is back with the Stanley Cup Playoffs edition. Only in the Tim Hortons app, you play for free with a chance to win daily prizes for picking players who you think will score. Plus, there's a grand prize of $5,000. Canadians, try and keep a 7-day streak alive, and if you do that, you're going to win free coffee or tea for a week. Lots of news going on today, Ray. So we're going to jump into headlines here momentarily, but I can see that you've made it. You're looking fresh on the YouTube channel.
No.
You made the jump from Buffalo. You're in Denver, ready for the Western Conference.
No.
Just no rest for the wicked. You're just on it this week.
Yeah, I think your glasses are fogged. You said I look rested. I feel like rumpled laundry right now. So we're going to knock this pod off. We're going to get through some headlines and some playoff stuff. And right back there is a bed saying you should take a nap, which is my next order of business.
All right. We'll get you to that. But first, we do have some breaking news brought to you by the Canadian Brew House in our headline segment. Hey, real fans, you know the move. You arrive early. Happy hour at the Canadian Brew House runs Monday to Saturday, 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. You skip the couch and hit the Canadian Brew House. You're home for every puck drop, every goal, and yes, every cheer. Their house is your arena. Tough segue, no pun intended, but speaking of house, the Vancouver Canucks have cleaned house as far as the coaching staff is concerned. Adam Foote let go as head coach. The assistants also dispatched in Kevin Dean and Scott Young and Brett McLean. I guess we shouldn't be surprised, should we? I mean, Ryan Johnson comes in, the Sedins as co-presidents come in. So you've got a new hierarchy of hockey operations in the general manager and the co-presidents. So does this just align? I mean, you're in this rebuild. If you're cleaning the slate in management, then do it with Adam Foote and his coaching staff.
I think that's 100% what it is. I will say for years, ownership in Vancouver has taken it in the shins about not willing to spend on infrastructure or some of the behind the scenes. They've always been a cap team, but some of the behind the scenes stuff. So when Jim Rutherford and Patrick Alvin were let go and, the Sedins and Ryan Johnson come in, they do their press conference and they say, this is a rebuild. The owner, who is not a public speaker, Francesco Aquilini, puts out a statement. And the statement is, the resources are there, we're going to rebuild.
Mm-hmm.
They have to chew a lot of money here to make this all happen. It's one thing to say, start the rebuild. And I think it clearly is the time for that. But man, this becomes an expensive proposition. Foote and all the coaches were brand new last year. I believe they all had 3-year contracts. All that term gets paid out unless somebody gets hired somewhere else. And then there's a new staff coming in. So this has not been a cheap couple of weeks, but it was so necessary if they were going to get to ground zero to start this rebuild they talk about culture and change and just a new way of doing business in Vancouver, and it all had to change or else it feels like all the same. So, I mean, these are good people. I'm a little biased. I know them, Footy quite well over the years. These are really good people. I played with Scott Young. I played with Kevin Dean. Brett McLean coached my son. Like, I know these guys, and it sucks. It's at times it's an amazing business. At times it's a lousy business. And so the Canucks now, their next search is coaching staff, but this had to happen now in order to put some of the next pieces in place.
Mm-hmm. All right. I think it was in the last episode of the Rain Dregs podcast, we talked about the idea of Manny Malhotra. If there's going to be a change, would he be the successor to Adam Foote? And you made the comment that, well, yes, he could be. But what if Caleb Malhotra is available in that 3 spot? And what if the scouting staff, management of the Vancouver Canucks believes strongly he's the best player available in that 3 hole? And now you've got dad coaching son at the NHL level, which historically is awkward at best, I would think. You still feel the same way?
I do. I think it's a conversation that probably has to be had if it hasn't already. So now you've made the decision, you're going to change the coach.
Yeah.
They've just gone through very recently, last week or so, their amateur scouting meetings. So the next 4 or 5 weeks are about solidifying that list and get that list baked in.
Yeah.
Then they will know internally who they have rated at 3, which is probably not going to be the same. It seems like in this draft, it seems like the teams that are going to pick around, from 1 to 6 or 7, they're going to have same players, but in different order. And that's not always the case. So that becomes the next hurdle to climb over, I guess.
Yeah.
But what if, so just think, I'm just thinking of complications that could happen. You're going to want to get to the combine. You're going to want to interview the players, the kids coming into the draft. You're going to want to see how they test, although I don't put much stock in that. But you're going to need a little bit of time. Mm-hmm. What if Toronto comes calling and says, we want to talk to Manny Malhotra? Right? There becomes a time dance to do all of this too.
Yeah.
I'm going to say I'll be shocked if Manny's not the head coach. I would be very, very surprised.
Right.
I think the complication of coaching your son becomes the next problem if that's indeed who they have at number 3. And I would have no idea on that. But if you think Manny's the coach and he's the right guy, he and Ryan Johnson and the Sedins have a long history together.
Yeah.
They've not just from playing, but they also worked hand in hand with the development model, the coaching in Abbotsford, the Calder Cup that they won 2 years ago. That's Ryan Johnson's management that headed that up. So it's not just that, they're buddies that used to play together. They've worked together. They've worked in this format together. I would be surprised if Manny's not the coach, I guess.
Coaching process continues for Toronto, as you allude to, likewise with LA, likewise with the Edmonton Oilers, who seem to be waiting patiently for Vegas to relent on Bruce Cassidy. We know that Craig Berube and Stan Bowman had a conversation on the weekend, and the expectation is that they will meet or have more discussions at some point this week. But if you look at the Oilers, Ray, I mean, that's kind of in that realm, as we talked about last week, of the type of experience that the Oilers are in the market for, right? So if Cassidy isn't available to them, however that plays out, then frankly, you are looking at Berube or Peter Laviolette. But, do you put Bruce Cassidy in a different category? Not better coach. That's not what I'm asking. Better suited for the Oilers than Berube or Laviolette might be.
All things equal, availability, term, money, all those things that go into it. Yeah, I would have Cassidy at the top. Now, Bruce is, players that have played for him are, they're very clear. Like, he knows exactly what he wants. He's not an easy guy. He's not an easy guy at times. He can be, and he can be pretty stern in his message. And you can say that's fine, but that's not a flavor for everybody. But I think he's a tremendous defensive coach. Well, whatever changes John Tortorella made when he took over, one of the key changes is their goaltending straightened itself out.
Yeah.
And now I know they work together too, right? If the team's good in front, then the goalie's going to be better. But since Bruce Cassidy, since they won the Stanley Cup with a kind of an unheralded Aiden Hill, they've pushed 4 or 5 goalies out there through injury and trials, and they've had tribulations like crazy.
Yeah.
But their team this year was one of the best defensive metric teams in the league, and didn't get any goaltending. And it's pretty hard to find a good coach with a bad goalie.
Very, very true. Goaltending has been tremendous for the Montreal Canadiens. It really has been to this point. And the Canadiens now march forward, take on the Carolina Hurricanes in the Eastern Conference Final. So there you were, front row. Great seat for the Sabres and the Canadiens in Game 7. Alex Newhook, the overtime hero for the Habs, is once again the road team prevails. So yes, Montreal advances. A couple of mistakes. Let's take us through the goal and what you saw there. So a couple of mistakes by the Buffalo Sabres. And then, is that a puck that you'd like to think UPL should stop at that point? Or is it one of those, it's overtime and you expect the unexpected, and that's the type of goal that you normally would see in overtime?
You can expect or not expect whatever you want. He's got to stop him.
Yeah.
Like that's.
I was trying to be nice.
Well, I picked that series, and I felt the slight edge to Montreal was their goalie. I thought he was going to be just a little better than Buffalo's tandem. Now, Buffalo used 3 goalies this year. They had 50 wins, and they used 3 goalies. 22 wins for Lyon, 20 wins for Luukkonen, 8 for Ellis. And if you look just over the last couple games of the series, Luukkonen started Game 5, he got pulled, Lyon went in. Lyon started Game 6, he got pulled, Luukkonen went in.
Yeah.
Like, is that really the way you want to go into Game 7? Now, Luukkonen was totally fine.
Yeah,
for 65 minutes. He was totally fine. He couldn't do anything. The first goal was off of Danault's foot. The second goal was bowled a really great shot. Like
rocket.
He gave up 2 goals. He was fine. The winning goal can't go in. And in particular, because the guy at the other end made every save and beyond. And what's interesting about Dobes, so that's 14 straight starts for him. 15 if you go back to the last game of the season. During the regular season, 3 times he played 4 games in a row. Never played 5.
Wow.
And so I thought in games 5 and 6 he looked worn out a little bit. But man, he answered big time in Game 7. And there'll be a time in the next week or so where Buffalo can say, well, what an unexpected year, what a great year. And, they should be very proud of their team because they had 109 points. It was a great year.
Yeah.
But they deserved a better fate in Game 7. I thought they were the better team. Montreal looked heavy-legged. They looked tired. And now they're going to go face this rocket ship that's been sitting around for 12 days in Carolina. I think they're in deep here in this series. But I guess the other part of this, so the goaltending was a slight edge for Montreal. Alex Tuch had no points in the series. Like how is that even possible? And
did you see him struggling? Was it noticeable? Yeah.
He just didn't have it. And I mean, I've been in a playoff series that's gone well, and I've been in one that's gone poorly. And you can feel it, man, like yourself. The puck's a little bouncy on your stick. He had a bunch of shot attempts. I don't remember many really dangerous ones. He had one great chance early in Game 7. Dobes beat him on it. And man, that was a surprise to me. He had a great first round. He had 4 goals. And it's a bad time to come up empty. And I think that's certainly one of the factors for Buffalo.
So Carolina, as you have acknowledged, they've been resting, they're practicing, they're waiting. 12 days is a long time. So is it a combination, potentially a blessing and a curse?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Can you imagine Rod Brindamore, you know, you give a couple days off, you practice a couple days, you give another day off. Like eventually you're out of drills. Like there's
Yeah.
what else are you going to do, right? At practice. And you want to have some physicality. You want to have guys bumping into each other, fighting through checks a little bit. But you got to be careful that nobody gets hurt. So they're trying to balance all of that stuff. I think the guy that benefits the most is Freddie Andersen.
Mm-hmm.
Although I'm sure given his 10 goals in 8 games performance, he would have liked to have kept going. Andersen's never been a high volume goalie. Like play. He tends to break down. So I think this benefit for him is greater than the team. I think it's probable they're a little sloppy and a little disconnected when they start game one. But I suspect they'll get that back pretty quickly. I do have Carolina winning this series. And really for the reason I said, I think Montreal's worn out. If you look at the lineup Montreal's been playing, they basically play 11 forwards and 5 defensemen. And Carolina plays 4 lines and 6D, and they play it at a tempo that's going to be hard to keep up with anyway.
All right, Ray, you're in Denver, Colorado as we shift to the Western Conference Finals. So Vegas and the Avalanche on Wednesday, game 1. Some questions about the health of the Vegas Golden Knights with Stone and Lausanne.
I'm planning to ask Torts about it.
How is that going to go, by the way? You may not be the first one. Well, you would be in your broadcast meeting, but to the bigger mass, the assembled media, that question will be asked. And it's probably, although he might be on his best behavior, because Vegas did meet with the National Hockey League today, being Tuesday, and the NHL said, hey, we're upholding the $100,000 fine for your media indiscretion, and we're upholding the forfeiture of that second-round draft pick. Perhaps that'll change in time, but right now, going into the Western Conference Final, that's where we're at. So maybe Torts will be on his best behavior, but I don't want to. You don't think so?
No. Well, you think he's all of a sudden going to talk about his lineup? Come on.
Yeah, no chance. No. So what do we like? Stone is going to play in this series. I don't know how soon it's going to be, whether he's available for the opening game or game 2. So we're kind of guessing unless you have inside information on that. But how big of a factor is it to not have? I guess it's a fact. It isn't a factor if Eichel steps up, right? And Thomas Hertl decides to play the way that he kind of finished in the last round.
They get through the last round without Stone, but he's just so good and he does so much for them. I have them as an underdog in this series. I think probably most people do. And if you take out one of your best players, like helpful, right? It's going to be, they're going to miss them. And so the quicker they can get them back in, the better it will be. I don't have any insight. It kind of feels like a couple of more games, really, like maybe till they get back to Vegas, but he's done this before. He's surprised before and he comes back and plays. And, it's pretty interesting. The last 20 games for Colorado and Vegas, they have the same record. They have identical records and they go about it differently. Of course, Vegas will try to slow them down and Colorado will try to play at their pace and speed. But I don't think anybody's too surprised that these are the last 2 standing in the West.
No. And a couple of factors from Vegas too, right? I mean, Carter Hart, as you talked about earlier in the podcast, has certainly found his stride. And Mitch Marner is clearly going to be a player of interest and somebody that the Colorado Avalanche know they're going to deal with in every sense, right? Power play, 5-on-5, penalty kill. I mean, he's basically been doing it all.
So in January, when Vegas didn't have any centermen, they moved Marner to the middle, and he's kind of a centerman thinker with the puck, and he's good defensively, and he did fine. But I don't think there's any secret to this, for me anyway, that when William Karlsson comes back and gets a couple of games underneath him, they put them together, I think in game 3 against Anaheim, and all of a sudden Marner exploded. William Karlsson is an underrated, really, really good player. Bruce Cassidy used to tell us that the one thing about Karlsson is when he's in the lineup, you never worry about his line. Like, the line is good. Well, Brett Howden's got 8 goals. Marner's got, 19 points, and Karlsson's in the middle. That gives Vegas 2 really good lines. You mentioned Thomas Hertl before. He's kind of an X factor for Vegas. He's just such a tough player to get a read on. I think he's more of a shooter than anything else. He's not a creative guy. And he got really strong in the late part of that Anaheim series. But I just think Vegas they have to hit most of it a 9 out of 10 to win this series. I think Colorado's a little bit better, a little bit deeper all the way around.
And including goal? Like, I assume Wedgwood is. Yeah.
Yep. No, and Colorado has gone back and forth between the two of them all year. They played almost virtually a 50-50 split. And so in, that second round series, Wedgwood gives up 6 in the first game. They win. He wins game 2, wins game 3, they get blown out in game 4. Blackwood, or in game 3, they got blown out. He gets pulled. Blackwood finishes up, wins game 4. Blackwood gets pulled in game 5. So it's like, I would say, looking at the goalies as they played, Vegas has a slight edge here because Hart's numbers look better, but I mean, it's Wedgwood's net right now. He's clearly their choice, but I would not be surprised if we see both guys in the series.
All right. Well, looking forward to it. It's weird not having games every single night. And, for you, it's fine. I mean, you get to travel and all of those things, but, I'm sitting here looking what I'm going to do on this Tuesday evening, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I'll have to find something on the
Let me tell you about the joy of travel here. A lot of our technical crew was on a 6 a.m. flight. From Buffalo, they connected through Detroit to get to Denver.
Oh boy.
I don't know why. That's where their flight was. Flight from Detroit to Denver canceled. Some of the people, there was it got to be 15 or 20 of them. Some of them went Detroit, Atlanta, Denver. Some went Detroit, Dallas, Denver. I don't know if you've got a map, but those are not on the way. So those guys they're going to be exhausted when they get in here.
Well, all the best to them. All right. Those are your headlines. Thank you to the Canadian Brewhouse.
It feels like Tim Hortons has always been part of my routine, certainly as a dad, as a coach, or taking my kids to the early morning hockeys. Had to go through the drive-through and get my cup of coffee and get the Timbits for the kids. Can I get a medium coffee with milk, please? Then even driving in the studio now at TSN. If I don't go through the drive-through, get my medium coffee with milk, I feel like my routine has been interrupted.
Here's your coffee.
Thank you.
Have a great day, guys.
You too. Only way to start a day.
We're shifting over to the Tim's Hockey Challenge now, right? And it is the playoff version of the Tim's Hockey Challenge. You can find it in the Tim Hortons app. It was your suggestion, and it was a good one as we bring in Chris Sabunia here, to pick every game. I mean, you just shift from one conference to the other. Now it's not that big of a deal, but we did it going into the weekend, and it was a stroke of genius because it's got me back into the mix. That's I love it. I like these things.
Bad idea.
I was going to say, Dregs loves it more than anybody because he's going on a little mini heater here as much as you can in these difficult playoff times. So, so I didn't get any. Ray didn't get any. Shager didn't get any in these last 2 games. Dregs got 2.
Oh, really?
1 in each. Yeah, we a bunch of donuts, and then Dregs got 1 in each. 1 in Game 6, 1 in Game 7. Which one was Green? Yeah, Jordan Greenway. That was obviously a good pick. What game was that in Game 6 or 7?
No, that was in
7.
Game 7.
I
had Zach Benson in Game 6.
Oh, very good.
Now here's the thing.
Here it comes.
That I have Matthias Samuelsson. He shoots it from the point and it goes in. It takes us a couple of replays to find it, but it hit Greenway in the ass and went in. I think I should have something for that. We thought it was Samuelson's goal. Yeah, and then it's Greenway's goal. Damn it.
I had him as well. Ray, you were there. You should have been able to influence that in some way, I think. Were you trying?
Yeah. I tried. I tried to speak it into existence, but apparently a super slow-mo camera will get you every time. So.
Anyway,
what do the numbers sound like?
Yeah, so those 2 leapfrog Dregs into second place. So I've managed to hang on to first. I've got 5. Dregs now has 4. He went from 2 to 4. Ray's got 3, and Shager is still really got he's got the honey cruller. He's got the donut of all donuts there for the whole thing. So he's gonna.
Exciting
I feel like
times.
he'll get one.
You do?
We're halfway there, I guess. Maybe not.
Yeah. It's like,
see, Zuby, you deserve a bit of a bonus too, and it'll come from Rev Media's side. But the fact that you've kept us updated and reminding us on a nightly basis when the games are in play, hey, don't forget to put your picks in. I mean, you're motivated by all this. You want to win fair and square.
Absolutely. Every game, I want every game to count. This is the time of year.
Yes.
Step your game up.
Check in, I guess, later this week. Thanks, Zuby.
Yeah.
There's Chris Zubunian in the Tim's Hockey Challenge. So a reminder for tomorrow, we'll get our picks in for the Avs and for the Vegas Golden Knights. So we're going to dip off. This was a condensed version of the Ray and Dregs podcast. I didn't shortchange anybody here, Ray. But there was a lot of news. We got to the news out of Vancouver, kind of dabbled a little bit with the Oilers. Obviously, back at the Eastern Conference and looked ahead now to the Western Conference. But you, my friend, you need a break. You need to get yourself a nice little nap here. And then where are you going to, like a chop house or something for dinner tonight?
No, an Italian place. Old buddy Scotty Lennox is a Denver resident.
Very good.
And so he's got a couple of spots. So we're gonna go for dinner tonight, and he can buy, and
perfect.
Then I'll get prepped up and ready to go for early game tomorrow in Denver, 6 p.m. start.
Excellent. All right. Well, get some rest, get refueled, and then we'll be ready for you tomorrow. That'll be a good one to start the series.
Awesome. Thanks, Dregs. Thanks everybody for listening, and on to the conference finals.
You bet. And thank you to our sponsors who continue to support the Ray and Dregs Hockey Podcast. Our title sponsor, Tim Hortons, thank you. And thank you to the Canadian Brewhouse. Until next time, stay safe, everybody.